Alrighty, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Let me get the camera going. We're going to film all of the meetings, so if you ever miss a meeting, you can go ahead and go online and watch them all here. It's totally unrehearsed presentation, so we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to be using the cheat sheet over here the whole time, too. Let me get myself arranged. Cool. Alrighty, so welcome to Launch, guys. It's a student-run business incubator. You've all heard the pitch before. Basically, what Launch is a way for you to create products and businesses and learn about the process of doing so. We hit everything that you can possibly do in a business, from actually designing a product to marketing it to selling it, the whole thing. Launch is a platform for you to work off of. So instead of actually having to start a company, you're able to experiment and work within Launch. Launch itself, a little bit about me. I'm Gabe Bentz. I'm the founder of Launch. I've started one or two companies before. The mentor for Launch is Rick Gibson, who also runs his own company in a business, in addition to being a professor of the business school. He'll be working very closely with Launch, and we'll be working with the business college a lot through a lot of different projects that we'll be doing. As far as how the organization works itself, let me go ahead and do this. It's a do by doing approach. And what I mean by that is we could say learn by doing or any of those other kind of cliche statements, but the do by doing is the fact that you're going to learn how to actually build a business by actually building a business. So you're going to make mistakes by actually creating companies and then screwing up and then making the mistakes again. Within that, we'll be talking about challenges here in just a second, but that's the basic layout for it. The weekly challenges are the chance to do that. They're a place where we give you kind of a topic to approach and do that kind of stuff with. The overall club approach, it's a very lean startup or rework kind of a system. If you know those two books, Rework or Lean Startup, I highly recommend you read them. They're a lot of what this organization will be based around. But it's kind of destroying the cliche of a standard startup of go get invested with $10 million and then hope that your company works. No, we're going to work in a lot smaller kind of steps. So like the challenges and those kind of things that you'll be doing on a weekly basis, you're going to be learning how to do something with nothing. How to take something that's completely worthless or a basic idea and make it worth something to someone so you can actually sell it. We're working on creating businesses and very sound kind of business decisions as opposed to creating really big companies. Although that is a part of it too. That's a byproduct of it. But if you have a strong foundation, you're able to build a company a lot easier. What have I got next on here? Oh, on the last slide, there was the QR code. Somebody scanned it already. But that's the QR code to the website. We'll actually be using the website a lot. All these videos will be posted there. We'll also link to some blogs and resources for you guys to use as we go through the whole launch experience, basically. We use experience because that sounds cool. But so use the website a lot. It's going to be the main resource we go to. I know there's Control Tower and that kind of stuff, but quite honestly, it's a cruddy system that I don't like to use very much. So pay attention to the website and get up there on that. It's a free Rick site. So you've got little ads and stuff sticking up everywhere, but you know what? It was free and it hits everything that we need from it. So it's a good website. So moving on to the next thing, as hitting the challenges. So exactly what are the challenges? What are you supposed to get out of them? The challenges are assigned on a weekly basis. What they are is a very small project that you should be able to crank out in about 3 hours if you really take it seriously. What you'll be doing is we'll assign you a product to make or a service to create or something to experiment with. Like this week, we're actually going to just go over logo design really quick after this main presentation. But each one is going to be a way for you to actually make money. So it's a cool thing. They're each an actual business that you'll be able to sell through the Launch web store, or we even have space in the bookstore for you to do that kind of stuff with. So it's going to be a very real experience. You're going to create real products, test them out. You're going to fail. You're going to screw up, and that's fine. That's the point of it. But again, like I said, these challenges, each one, since we're a brand new organization, we get zero funding from the school. And since we're an organization about business and creating businesses, we still get zero funding from the school. So any money that we make will be internal through our own fundraising. And I'll go over that a little bit more. Let's go over it right now. The challenges being real businesses, you're going to be making real money, but you're going to be doing it through our infrastructure. With that being said, we will give you some seed funding once in a while to do one of the challenges. which is fine because it's only like $10 for most of these for an individual project. But then after that, what you make on that, we take a certain percentage from it, and then you take the other part of it. And what we take is small, like 15 or 25% or something, which is really small considering how small selling quantities we're working with. But but yeah, the challenges are a really small thing to just kind of learn how to do stuff and learn how to run business. What it will all culminate in is the pitch event. The final pitch event will happen either at the end of the semester or at the end of the year, depending on how far people get in their projects. The challenges are for the average member who just want to learn how to run a business. If anybody in here is actually working on an actual company, I know a few of you are, I've talked to some of you. If you're working on an actual company, you can go ahead and keep working on that. As we go through launch, we'll do different presentations that'll support you and help you with that, like how to pitch, what a good presentation is, where to look for funding, different ways of getting funding, but again, in a very kind of minimal mentality of what is the most you need and how are you going to stay under that. The standard thought of a lot of people is, oh, I'm going to get $10 million and then I'm supposed to expect to go over. No, that's wrong. That's when companies fail. I don't know what the percentage is, like 10% or 1% of companies ever get started, ever succeed. And I know because I've started 10 companies and I've only had one that's been successful so far. But anyway, going with that, we're going to be working with you to create a good foundation for your company. And then at the pitch event, we'll be bringing in actual investors from around Prescott. We plan on actually partnering with the NASET Incubator up in Flagstaff, who the NASET Incubator, NACET. What they do is they're a standard professional incubator like Y Combinator or anybody else, a little smaller scale, but they're focused on startups around in the Arizona area. And they take you through some classes and give you funding and take a little bit of equity away, but that's fine. But I'll be working with those guys. They'll be investors probably. And then there's people around Prescott. There's about 5 or 6 different guys who will be investors. And at the pitch event, you'll basically be doing a Shark Tank kind of a thing. You're going to go up there, you're going to get 3 minutes to pitch the general idea of your business that you've written a big old business plan for. And if we're not interested in the first 3 minutes, you leave the stage and everybody else moves up and the next company moves on. So it's a very cutthroat kind of a thing. You have to be perfect from the very beginning because they're very important people. We don't want to waste their time or their money, and neither do they. So the pitch event is going to be a very quick thing. We do not do business plans in this club. You won't write a single business plan while you're here. You might do a business outline, but the business plan is pretty much dead. If you're planning on writing a 40-page business plan for your company with a 5-year projection, please stop, because that is not recognized by anyone anymore, because everybody knows that any projection past 6 months is complete BS and guesswork, and it's going to change on you and nothing matters. If you write a general business outline of some little milestones and what you need to do to kind of be successful for a year and then move on from that and have a plan the whole time, that is something we'll do in here. Kind of, okay, you've got this idea, how are you going to turn it into a product, kind of where are you going to look at that, basic outlines, but we're not going to ask you to do revenue for 5 years because it's just complete guesswork. The challenges themselves, I'm going to go back, take a step back really quick. Like I said, unreversed presentation, sorry, it's not in order. The challenges are not required of anybody, and you do not have to go through the whole product cycle. It's not that hard to do. We make them really easy for you to create a product within one of these challenges and actually sell it. So it shouldn't be a big deal. But if you, for some reason, don't have 3 hours in a week, I can understand that. I'm a junior in engineering, and anybody who says they have a lot of free time is kind of lying to you. But there's always time for stuff, but it is a problem amongst the engineers in here. Who has engineering degrees? Okay, all right, cool. But yeah, a few engineers in here. But with that being said, the challenges don't take up that much time. If you can't get it actually finished, can't put in the 3 hours to build the product, you can do an outline of what you would have done. What we would like to see from all the challenges is as you go through it and you kind of run through it, you make a 1 or 2 slide presentation or just a talk. You talk about it at the next meeting when we go over the challenges, kind of see how much money you made, that kind of a thing. And we evaluate how you did, and we'll critique you. Within the critiques in this club, I want you to be brutally honest. I want you to be like nasty. If you've watched Shark Tank, I want you to be like Kevin. Like, that's just bogus, that's horrible, it's a stupid idea, what were you thinking?
No, Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's words.
Nah, Mark Cuban's actually really nice about the stuff that he does. He's very honest, but he's not a jerk. He's he gives the shot clock, but he's not that bad. But yeah, be brutally honest, because everybody's saying, I told you did good. That's not very helpful. The customers who whine about your product are the ones who are going to ruin your product, and the people who say good job are good, but they're not going to. It takes 10 good customers to write a good review to undo one bad review. So that's a pretty standard rule to follow. So that's what the challenges are. You go, you build a product, you sell it through our store, and then you make a little bit of money, and then you tell us about it at the end of the week, so everybody else can kind of figure out. Go ahead.
What kind of product are you creating that product, right?
Okay, so within the product, it might be a product, it might be a service, it might be a physical thing, it might be just kind of like an exercise, like design a logo or something like that, and we'll often teach your logos at the end and figure out what a good logo design is. If you want to talk product, we will be doing physical products. There'll be some things like, okay, I'll tell you what the challenge is. One challenge is to take a piece of paper and make somebody pay you 99 cents for that sheet of paper. You can put anything you want on it or change it somehow, but you have to make that blank sheet of paper that you can print off somewhere valuable to someone. So how are you going to do that? Are you going to figure out a great paper plane design and sell it to folks, or are you just going to advertise on it? I mean, it's a very open book after that, but this is kind of your baseline, a piece of paper. And you guys can do other stuff too, but we want to give you the limited kind of a resource of, okay, you have nothing, make it something now. Which is the mentality you have to have when you're competing against somebody who has tons of money and you have nothing. You got to figure out how you're going to market for $10. You got to figure out how you're going to build the product for $100 or something, especially when you're a broke college kid. So really, this is focused towards broke college kids who want to start a viable business. And if you turn it into a great startup, great. But we're not going to focus into the $10 million things too often. They're going to be smaller deals. Did that answer your question? No. Cool. All right. Alrighty then, moving on. Well, I'm going to stay on this a little bit longer too. Within the challenges, you're going to be learning, like I said, aspects of business. We're going to focus a lot on the online kind of thing. We'll touch on the physical world a lot for sure, but we're going to have you guys build an app at some point. You're going to build a website at some point. But again, these are exercises, and you need to have a website. And if you have any kind of a business, you almost need to have an app too. You have to have the website. The app is kind of optional. But I want to show you where you can build the website without actually having to, come on in. Sure, you're a little late, but that's okay. But yeah, we'll be having you build websites. We're going to be showing you the resources you can use to do that without actually having to spend a lot of money on it. So we're going to show you the tools online to do that kind of stuff. And quite honestly, guys, you find anything online that you want to sell, or if you want to find somebody to build you an app, you can find someone to build you an app. If there's something you don't know, there's a tool or a person out there who you can get in contact by Googling it, who will be able to help you out. Sometimes they're a little sketchy, but you know, that's some of the stuff you got to deal with. Alrighty, moving on to the next thing. Alrighty. So, the expectations of the club members, of all of you guys. You're a member of Launch. Great. You're signed up on a piece of paper. That's pretty much all it is. We don't force you guys to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Forced entrepreneurship is not even worth it. I've been in 2 or 3 different startup schools, and if you ever are assigned a business or are forced to create one under a time period, it all turns into crap and no one has big teams and the product is horrible and everything else. So we give you the challenges to learn how to do different kinds of business stuff that you can engage in if you want to. If you don't want to, fine, don't do the challenges. If you don't want to build the full product in the challenges, fine, do the presentation. If you don't want to do anything, fine, don't do anything. But you don't have to do anything. In Launch, do what you want, get your stuff done. If you post everything online, you don't even have to come to the meeting. You'll be able to see what happened at the meeting afterwards when it meets your schedule. But yeah, there's really very few expectations for anyone in Launch. If you're working and you want to be in the pitch event at the end of the year, you certainly are going to have a little bit more of a presence than that and kind of touch on us a little bit. Launch itself is helping 1 or 2 other startups who are already on school, or at the school who are running before we were even founded. One of them is like Swift Aeroplanes, who do drones, and another one is like a consultancy or something. Dr. Gibson is working with them really closely. He'd love it if Launch would ever like to take on a project and help them with their crowdfunding campaign. So you can do that as a side project in Launch. We're basically just a big networker and a resource for you. We're something to reference when you're interested in starting a company or a business. And if you want to be actively involved along the way, it's more power to you. It'll help you a lot more. It'll help you make a little money. But we're not forcing you to do anything. Make sure you sign the sheet because it looks like we have a lot of active members and stuff, but we're not a volunteer organization. We're a business club. And as far as business clubs go, if you want to be in on the action, we got a lot of action for you. But if you don't want to, go ahead and just learn what we're going to teach you. Alrighty, so there's that. One more little thing about expectations. As far as officers go, if you want to become the CEO, COO, CMO, or I don't know, whatever this other CO is that we've got, there's 4 officer positions. The CEO and the COO, which are basically the president and vice president, they are chosen on merit based on how much you make during the year within the challenges. So Launch is basically a startup. We're going to run it just like a startup. You make the most money, you are the guy in charge the next year. If you don't want the job, then you move it down to the next guy. The officer responsibilities are you don't have to do the challenges or anything like that. You basically just kind of have to update the website and bring in speakers once in a while for this kind of stuff. The secretary and the financial officer, or the CFO and CMO, they are chosen by the president and vice president. So the first two highest positions are merit-based. The second 2 you're picked for. So that's how it's going to go with officers. So that's a place where expectations and engaging in Launch is important. But that will cover that pretty well. Let's see what else I got here on this. Alrighty, that pretty much does it. So I'm going to go ahead and just end the video here. Go ahead. Perfect. Does anybody have any questions? This was a bad presentation, by the way. If you are ever doing a presentation in here, it's not going to look like this. And we'll go over what a good kind of a format for exercise is. But since this one was kind of on the fly,